San Francisco just hosted Ron DeSantis, or rather, Ron DeSantis chose to go to San Francisco as he makes his campaign for presidency not just about a handful of states, but about coast to coast and a major cultural change. Here's what the governor said.
You look around, the city is not vibrant anymore. It's really collapsed because of leftist policies. And these policies have caused people to flee this area. They don't prosecute criminals like they do in most parts of the country. And the wreckage has really been sad to see. And so I've seen so many businesses boarded up. I've seen so much riffraff just running around. And it just shows you these policies matter. Leadership matters. They are doing it wrong here.
I really like this look. I like this look of Ron DeSantis being out in the fray in front of this graffitied up building, all this trash on the street in California. What's he doing in California? I like that. I wish we saw more of the delivery here. I wish we saw more of the interaction. What I've heard about this trip is that people are coming up to DeSantis in California and saying, hey, man, we support you. Regular, good, sort of ordinary American people that we all like and support. The crazy libs, they all were yelling at DeSantis. But the normal, nice people and the first responders and the cool guys, they all like DeSantis. So I'd like to see more of that. I want to see more interaction. I want to see DeSantis out in the world. The knock on DeSantis right now is that he's a little too stiff. He's not good enough with people. He doesn't have enough riz, to use my Zoomer lingo. That he's running as a little bit of a, I don't know, focused group tested type of establishment candidate. And he shouldn't run that way, and he doesn't need to run that way. So put him out there. Yes, send him to San Francisco, and let's see him in that fray. That's something that Trump has that DeSantis really needs to go after. Best I've seen him, but we should go even further down that line if we're talking about a DeSantis kind of campaign. Now, I got bad news for DeSantis, which is that Trump continues to dominate in the polls, and he's getting stronger and stronger in the polls. There's a poll right now out of Quinnipiac that shows Trump not only beating the rest of the GOP field by a lot, which he's doing, but Trump beating Biden. And not just Trump beating Biden at the national level, which the other night we were on backstage, and I was trying to explain to my friend and colleague Ben Shapiro that Trump is a lot stronger than the people who don't like Trump are letting on. And I said, well, one example is that Trump is beating Biden in the polls. And he says, well, those are just national polls, and national polls don't matter because the elections come down to just a handful of states and not even a whole lot of counties. Well, now we have a poll out from Quinnipiac, which shows Trump beating Biden in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is supposed to be Joe Biden's home turf, good old Scranton Joe, and Trump is beating him there head-to-head, 47-46. So it's close, but Trump is still ahead there. So the argument that Trump can't win is falling apart. I always thought it was a silly argument because he won in 2016. So the people who say Trump will never ever win, it's going to destroy the GOP, they were wrong in 2016. But yeah, okay, he was not able to remain the president after the 2020 election. How's that for a diplomatic way of putting it? And he is off-putting to a lot of people, and he does need to do a better job of appealing to people who are a little more centrist and a little bit more in the middle. I'm not denying any of that. It's just Biden looks so terrible right now, and Trump looks so unfairly persecuted that even in a place like Pennsylvania, Trump is currently leading. So now one of the big anti-Trump lines in the primary is gone. It's gone on the idea that he can't win, and it's gone on the idea that, well, the national polls don't matter. Yeah, maybe the national polls don't tell you everything, but the state polls do, and even in the contentious battleground state polls, Trump's looking pretty good. Right now, text Knowles to 989898. Central banks in countries such as China, India, and Australia have announced they are beginning to explore transitioning to a digital currency. The Federal Reserve has been contemplating the same for the U.S. With a digital currency, the government could track every single purchase you make. Officials could even prohibit you from purchasing certain products or easily freeze or seize part or all of your money. Times like these are a great reminder to diversify a portion of your savings into gold. You can do that with the help of Birch Gold. They are the guys that I get my gold from. So do thousands of other concerned savers. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. You won't pay a penny out of pocket. When currencies fail, Gold is a safe haven. How much more time does the dollar have? Protect your savings with gold. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Thousands of happy customers. Text Knowles, Knowles, to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold. If a central bank digital currency becomes a reality, it will be nice to have some gold to depend on. Text Knowles to 989898. So what is DeSantis going to say to this? Well, the DeSantis campaign pitch is going to be that Trump had the right idea, but he failed in the execution, and I'm going to be the better Trump.
Most of us in this room voted to drain the swamp twice. Talk to us specifically about why you're the right candidate to folks in New Hampshire to come behind in this primary to drain the swamp and get it done this time, as opposed to the other choice.
It's a great question. And what's your name?
Mark Johnson.
Okay, thanks, Mark. So the question is, and I remember these rallies in 2016. It was exciting. Drain the swamp. I also remember lock her up, right? And then 2 weeks after the election, don't forget about it. Forget I ever said that. No. One thing you'll get from me, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm not just saying that for an election. And there are promises I could make that may help me marginally politically that I don't know that I could necessarily follow through on, so I will not make that. And I think the idea of draining the swamp, in some respects, I think it misses it a little bit. Because we didn't drain it. It's worse today than it's ever been, by far. And that's a sad testament to the state affairs of our country. But even if you're successful at draining it, the next guy can just refill it. So I want to break the swamp. That's really what we need to do.
That's a sophisticated point, which is that not only do you need to fire the bad people, but you need to change the structure that is causing the problems in the first place. That's all good. And it all comes down to this idea that DeSantis is Trump 2.0. Better, bigger, faster, stronger, more precise, better at wielding politics. Trump's big strength was that he's a political outsider and doesn't really know how Washington works. DeSantis does get how Washington works. He was a congressman. He's been an effective governor. So he's going to take Trumpism and really put it into effect. That's the line. And it's not going to work. That's not going to be, and if that is all the campaign is about, then the DeSantis campaign is not going to win. Because it's New Coke versus Coca-Cola Classic. Coca-Cola Classic, which is the Coca-Cola that we all have today, people really like it. And then some 30, 40 years ago, is it that long at this point? Yeah, I guess it is. Coca-Cola decides they've got a new Coke formula. And they bring it out and it's a complete disaster and they have to return to the old Coke formula. Well, why did they bring it out? Was it just some rogue marketing executive who screwed things up? No, they tested New Coke over and over and over again. And when people were given blind taste tests of New Coke versus the old Coke, people preferred the New Coke. But when the blindfold came off and they knew what the brands were, and they had a choice between that old thing, the OG, and the new and improved version, they picked the original. And that's exactly what's going on in the GOP primary right now. You could say that DeSantis is better at wielding power and implementing these things, and he's more philosophically and ideologically coherent, and he understands politics better, and you could go down the whole litany of compliments. Yeah, that might be true. But the way that people respond to that, and the way that psychology works, is that people like that original thing, and Trump is an American original. So if the DeSantis campaign is going to be effective, it's going to need something in addition to, I'm just the bigger, better Trump. What a great clip that was. Make sure that you subscribe, you ring that bell, you get every episode, every interview, every yes or no game. We'll see you next time.